Hello, everyone. I'm one of Fordham's campus ministers, Katie Anderson-Quill, and I'm here today with an art-focused year in review. Now, if you are one of the many people that I hear from who say they can't do art, I have good news for you. Anyone can do art. And I'm going to show you a few prompts that you can use to express yourself visually and reflect on your year. As we go through the art project, I'm going to offer you several prompts, and just pause the video anytime you feel that you need more time for a prompt. As you know, you have many ways to express yourself. The most obvious ways you have to express yourself are with words, whether it's written or oral communication, like journaling, reading, or talking. But it's not just the words themselves. You also use body language and your tone of voice. These are all forms of communication, like facial expression, using eye contact. And you express yourself physically. Think about the ways you express joy, celebrate victory, or show affection, show anger, dance. What about expressing yourself with music, either the music you choose to listen to or music that you make? And how do you express yourself spiritually through all of these means? What are the words you say when you're gathered in community or praying on your own? What about the gestures you use, whether it's folding your hands in prayer, using prayer beads, blessing yourself with holy water, singing along with an assembly, or listening to a choir? Art is another way of expressing yourself without words, and maybe expressing ideas that don't come easily with words. Shapes, colors, lights, lines are all expressive. And the process of creating art itself, and not just the finished product, is part of that expression. How you hold your brush or your pencil, how you move your arm, how hard you press, how fast you move. It's all part of the expression, and it's all something that anyone can do. Even if all you have is a piece of scrap paper and a ballpoint pen, you can still scribble really hard, press hard on the paper, or move your pen lightly to make a fine and delicate line. You can use a whole bunch of dots close together and some dots farther apart to create shapes of dark and light. You can use hatching or cross-hatching, a bunch of lines either close together or spaced far apart to create darker or lighter spaces. And again, how quickly you move your arm, all of that's part of the expression. So you don't need anything fancy to create something that's meaningful. As we go through the prompts, I just want to get you warmed up. We don't have to draw anything specific. So you don't have to try to draw little stick figures acting out what you're feeling. You can just use colors, lines, shape, and light. So as a warm-up, to show you what I mean, I'll just give you a prompt and spend a couple of seconds doodling your response. So first, draw a sad line. And how does that feel when you draw it? What does that line look like? Then draw a joyful squiggle. What does that feel like? What does that look like? Next, draw an anxious squiggle. Notice how your body feels when you're making these movements. Next, draw a victorious squiggle. So do you see what I mean? Now you've had some chances to just move your pen or pencil and allow those lines to express some feeling without having to depict a specific picture. All right, now that we're warmed up, we'll move into the reflection. And again, you can pause the recording if you need more time on any of the prompts, but don't belabor them. Your drawing will be just fine. It doesn't need to be something you spend hours on. As we begin, I invite you to take a few deep and peaceful breaths. Let that peaceful feeling move into your body as you breathe in deeply into your lungs, filling your chest with fresh air, and let that feeling of peace move through your body as we begin our prayer. And first, we'll begin with gratitude. Just look back on a few moments that pop out to you as ones you're especially grateful for. They could be big or small, they could be challenging or joyful. But just stay with this feeling of gratitude as we move throughout our reflection. Next, ask the Holy Spirit for guidance as we move through the reflection. Ask for wisdom to know what's most important about this year in review. Ask for courage to honestly evaluate how you've been doing. And ask for grace to see how much you have been loved throughout this year. Now we'll begin looking back on the past year. Review some of the most important markers of the year, major milestones, big events. If it's helpful, you can look back over all of your time at Fordham or just this past year. And think about what stands out to you. And we'll begin to honestly evaluate your time and your response to your experiences. So just spend a few minutes doodling the prompts. And again, the picture doesn't have to be representational. You don't have to draw stick figures acting out what happened. Just draw some shapes, lines, colors that reflect how you feel. First, think about a time when you felt joy. Your heart swelled with the feeling of aliveness. You were fully present to the moment. Now think about a time when you felt disappointment. Reality came crashing around you. Yet you emerged with a feeling of hope. Next, think about a time when you learned something really important about yourself. Your needs, your hopes, the way you flourish, what it meant to be true to yourself. Accepting of your flaws, but confident in your strengths and your ability to be transformed. A time when you felt you had to grow. You felt the pain of growth, feelings of inadequacy or disappointment, turning into inspiration and determination. Your new self emerged stronger, more resilient, more creative, more adaptable, more dependable. Now think about a time when you needed to be courageous. You stood up for your beliefs. You stood up for yourself. You took a risk. You took on more than you ever had before. Next, think about a time when you were proud of yourself. You did more than you thought you could. Something small ended up having a big impact. You grew in a big way. Next, think about a time when your unique gifts, your spirit, your vision, your commitment created something that no one else could have. A time you felt consoled knowing that your contributions to this were important, necessary, irreplaceable. In the next step, make a resolution going forward. You've looked back on some important moments and discoveries. And now, where do you see hope emerge going forward? Start to doodle something that's emblematic of those hopes. What are some gifts that you want to put into service? What are some areas where you want to grow? What are the things that lead you away from God or lead you away from being true to yourself that you want to put aside? What's most exciting about the future? What's most inspiring about what comes next? Now that you've created a bunch of doodles about your year in review and your hopes going forward, you can start with a fresh piece of paper and take one of those doodles and expand on it a little bit more. It could be whichever prompt was most meaningful to you. or it could be a combination of several of the prompts. Spend a little bit more time really putting detail in the drawing. Enjoy it, get into it. Once you've spent some time with your new drawing, come back to that place of gratitude and hope. Gratitude for the insights that you've discovered. Gratitude for all of those significant events, whether they were challenging or fruitful or frustrating or joyful. And gratitude for the places that you've been and the hopeful future yet to come. I hope that you found that this art year in review was helpful and fun and encouraging. I hope that you know that no matter whether you think of yourself as an artist or not, that art is a way that you can pray. So thank you for joining us on this art year in review.